Aveng's two-year order book declined by 22% to 28.9 billion rand. Now that's from 37.1 billion just over a year ago. We spoke to the chief executive of the construction group, Kobus Verster, for the reasons behind these numbers. Let's take a look.
In the South Africa context, the Grote Geluk contract is basically close to completion. The Makolo pipeline, we have impacted Grenike LTA severely in 2 years, is in handover phase. So we're close to finishing and handing them over. So the predictability of the negative or potential negative cost, we are much more on top of. I think in addition, on the Australian side, also the large contracts there that's been negative from a cash flow and loss perspective is in handover phase or has been handed over. So I think we have guided that we're targeting a break even, but we've also cautioned that we still need to secure and execute a reasonable amount of work in our local and international construction business to achieve that.
What's a reasonable amount of work? What would need to happen in order for you to break even?
I mean, I don't want to actually put an amount to that, but I think in the SA construction business, we need 2 or 3 reasonable size civil and or mechanical and electrical contracts that will enable us to utilize and retain our current capacity and capabilities. We have teams coming off projects that delivered projects very successfully, and it would be a pity if one has to release some of these people until new jobs come along.
Looking at your contracts, couldn't help noticing that you've got 8 Eskom-related projects at the moment.
Yes.
Any of them falling under the problematic category?
I think I would like to think that from a performance perspective and a relationship perspective, the situation with Eskom is going very well. So the Grenike, all these projects is within our local construction business, has the operational execution is very strong, relationship with the clients very good, but any large contract that's running over time, there's commercial and contractual complexities that we need to resolve with the client, which is taking longer, but I think we'll get there. But from a performance perspective, if I look at the relationship and the output and the performance today versus some years ago, we're doing very well there.
Your steel sector has come under substantial amount of pressure. What is the outlook there? Of course, there have been a lot of headlines around increased import tariff. This wouldn't at all give you some relief?
I mean, depend on the percentage. I mean, to be honest, I mean, what I've read last was a 10% sort of import protection requested. My personal opinion is 10% protection will make no difference. The industry is in a much worse state. Ultimately, medium term, we need construction and infrastructure spent to drive demand. SA steel will always be subjected to swings in international steel prices, but the low international steel prices is aggravated by a poor demand, and to manage both is very difficult. And I think, as per our guidance, we do not foresee a short-term relief in that, and we were necessitated to make substantial interventions in our steel business over the last 2 years, 18 months, that had a big impact on people.
We've been talking about some of the doom and gloom, but there are obviously some places where you do see opportunity. Where are they?
I mean, I think from maybe just let's look at the negative markets, which is Australia and South Africa construction. Although I'm negative on the short-term outlook of the markets, I'm much more positive on improved financial performance of both those businesses. If you look at our manufacturing business, the same has delivered reasonable performance in the past few years. And that's an area where we are investing and we are growing and we are optimistic about the Sub-Sahara Africa and East Africa region for the future.
You did mention heading east. Can you give us some color around that?
We have sort of picked some countries in Africa where we think the opportunity for specifically a rail and marine work will come in the foreseeable future. And we've also just make the cake a bit smaller, that we can handle it. Otherwise, you can't, when you talk about Africa, it's a large place with a lot of countries. So we've selected a few countries where we want to focus on.